Hi everybody. I haven't seen anyone in a long time, so missing you guys. Just want to let you know, it's crazy times, but we're doing the best that we can. Um, so welcome to my workshop. Okay, so this is where I do all my recordings in the morning. Today we are going to work on a lab called the titration of vinegar. Now, some of you may have done a similar lab to this. When you were in your regular chemistry class. This one is, the calculations are much different. So we're going to give this lab a shot. So what we're going to do is we're going to be analyzing white vinegar today. We're going to see if we can figure out the concentration. Now in vinegar, this is acetic acid, which is a weak acid. So that's the plan for today. Now, I want to go over a couple things just so you kind of remember. So these are called burettes, and I've already done the first bunch of steps in the lab for us. Okay, so the first steps were to set up the burettes. Now on the left, your left side, this is the vinegar side. Red means acid. This is the blue side. This is the base side. Right. So our analyte, what we're analyzing is the vinegar. Our titrant is 0.10 molar sodium hydroxide. Now, how I set this up, all right, or how you set up a titration, your burettes, is you really have to start with rinsing them with distilled water, which I did, right, and that just cleans them out. And then the next thing you have to do is you have to add some of the vinegar to the burette. You have to coat the inside of the burette and drain all of that, and then you refill the burette. Same thing with the sodium hydroxide. So you start by filling it with distilled water, which flushes it out, and then you coat the inside with the sodium hydroxide that you're going to use, and then you load the burette. Okay. Now, to load the burettes, okay, the 0 is on top, 50 is on the bottom. For the sodium hydroxide, okay, I filled it all the way up, okay, to the 0 point. Now, there is a meniscus, so you read the burette at the bottom of the meniscus. Okay. Now, for the vinegar, I only filled it up to 30 milliliters because we only need 2 milliliters per trial. So instead of filling it all the way up here, I just filled it up to 30. All right, so we're going to start at 30. In reality, it doesn't matter where you start, all right? It's how much you use, right? So if you look at the data table, you have an initial reading and a final reading, and then you subtract to get to your volume used. So we're really set to do this titration. I'm not sure how this is going to go. I'm going to bring the computer over near me so you can actually see what's happening down here. Now, the indicator that we're using today is phenolphthalein, all right, PHTH. PHTH changes color between a pH of 8 and 9, but at a pH of 8, it's a very light pink. Okay, so you've probably worked with phenolphthalein before. It's all I have, and it's the best that we can do in these circumstances, and it will get us pretty close. Right. So as long as we look for that light pink color. All right, so I'm going to bring you over towards me so you can watch me do the titration. So bear with me because you might get a little bit dizzy. Here we go. Ooh. Nice, 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 nice. Here we go. All right, so I think that will work. Okay. I probably will work from behind. I don't know, we'll see. We'll see how things go. Okay. So now, you should have this data sheet. Let me show it to you. All right, hopefully you have this data sheet out because that's what we're going to be working on. Right, and I'm going to fill that out, but then I'll eventually give you your readings. So our initial burette reading for the NaOH is going to be 0.00 for our first trial, and our initial reading for the vinegar is going to be 30.00, and that's for trial 1. So now, in our instructions, we need 2 milliliters of the vinegar. So I'm going to use an Erlenmeyer flask. And this is just rinsed with distilled. Okay, so I need exactly 2 milliliters. And I don't like how this is zeroed, so it's not zeroed at 30. So before we do it, let's zero it. All right, let me show you. So hopefully you can kind of see here. All right, we're not really zeroed at 30 yet, so I'm going to zero it first. That was a good catch. Okay, now we're at 30. So now we're in good shape. Sorry about that. So let's go ahead and get our 2 milliliters of our acid. So there's exactly 2 milliliters, which is not very much. We need about 20 milliliters of distilled, and it really doesn't matter. It's just going to give us some volume. Okay, so we got about 20 milliliters of water, so we're going to add that. So then we need some phenolphthalein, and below 8 phenolphthalein is clear. Right, you only need 2 or 3 drops, and it is. Okay. And now we're going to start our titration. So I'm going to put this off to the side, and we're going to put this under here. Now, as you add your sodium hydroxide, let me check my 0 mark. I'm good. All right, as we add our sodium hydroxide, you want to swirl. All right, so I'm going to go fast to start. All right, because as you get closer and closer to your end point or your equivalence point, the pink stays longer and longer and longer and longer. All right, so right now it's reacting very fast. Now, as it starts to stay longer, I'm going to slow it down. So you can see it's starting to stay longer already. So I'm going to slow down. And eventually you need to be down to drop by drop by drop. All right, so we're still going pretty fast, actually. And we're getting pretty close. You literally want to slow it down so you only add bits. Because we're looking for that really light color pink. Now, I'll be honest, these are not the best burettes, so they don't give us a real small drop. So we'll do the best that we can. It does get tedious. And I think we're just about there. Right, so the pink stayed for quite a bit. I'm going to take a quick reading before I add the next drop, just in case it goes too far. So this reading right now is 20 point... about 29. All right, so that's about 20.29, but I'm going to add another drop just to see what happens. But we got that number now. Just to, all right, we're going to add one more drop. That still went away. We can still. Oh, that's going to be too much. Oh, maybe not. Oh, that's not bad. Yeah, that was not great technique, but that's the color that we want. That nice light color pink. So actually, that worked out all right. All right, now. So let's get our ending points here. And I should have this under here. So now we added exactly 2 milliliters of the acid. So our ending point of our vinegar is 32.00. And the ending point for our, let's see, 20 point, that looks like about 20.41. 20.41 is our final for our NaOH. All right, so there's our trial 1. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do the same exact thing with trial 2. All right, now instead of refilling this burette, we can go ahead and start where we ended. So our initial reading for our NaOH will be 20.41, and our initial reading for our vinegar will be 32.00. Okay, so we'll put this one aside, and we need to do it again. So I got to add exactly 2 milliliters. I got to go to 34. Well, that's good. I have to add about 20 milliliters of water. And we can't forget to add the phenolphthalein. Every year I have this happen. Someone will call me over during a lab and they'll say, we've added 50 milliliters of base to this and it hasn't changed. Something's wrong. And I'll say, did you add your phenolphthalein? And they'll say, oh yeah, I put my phenolphthalein in there. And I'll put 1 drop and it'll turn this deep magenta color. All right, so we are ready to start our second titration. So now, we used, what do we say, 20.41? We used 20.41 milliliters the first time. We better use about the same this time, okay? So I'm going to go really fast all the way. So if we double this, that would be 40, almost 41. So I'm going to go all the way to 40 pretty quick. So I'm going to let this just go. All right. Once we get down near 39, I'll slow it right down. And if I swirl it, it'll all go right away, so you can see. We're at 38. So I'm going to slow it right down here. Let's swirl just to see where we are. And we're still good. All right, so let's go ahead and add Ooh, and that's a really light color pink. I'm not sure if you can see it. Kind of faded, but I'm going to take a reading there. And this is about 40 point. It's about 40.7. 40.7. And maybe 40.69. Okay, let's add another drop though, 40.69, just to see what happens. Still reacting, so let's keep going. Ooh. I think we're there. Okay. So let's go ahead and do our reading, and we're at 40 point. This burrette's really hard to read. 40.81. 40.81. So our final reading for our burette, number 2 trial, is 40.81, and the final volume was, for the vinegar, was 34.00. So there's our second trial. Now, we need to do a third trial. So let's take this out. Now, our issue is that our sodium hydroxide is way too low. We know we need about 20 milliliters, and I only have about 10 milliliters left. So I'm going to have to refill the burette of sodium hydroxide. So I'm going to go ahead and carefully add. Now I'm going to go to 20. Okay, so I'm going to zero this at 20 because I only need 20 milliliters. So I'm going to come down to 40 again, and it'll be plenty. So I'm going to re-zero this at 40, or excuse me, at 20. So we're re-zeroed at 20 milliliters. So the beginning, or our initial volume, this time for our NaOH is 20.00. Our initial reading for our vinegar is going to be 34.00. And we're ready to do our third trial. So we need exactly 2 milliliters again. So we're going to go down to 36.00. There's exactly our 2 milliliters. Again, we need 20 milliliters of water. We need our 3 drops of phenolphthalein. 2 or 3 drops, doesn't really matter. And we're ready to start. Alright, so we're at 20, so we can go to 40 pretty quick. So I'm going to just go ahead and get us started here. And we'll run it down there. So let me show you here. You can see our burette going down pretty quick. There's 30, 31, there's 32, 33, 35, 39. Oop, that's 38, sorry. We should slow down. So let's slow that down. We'll get this stirred. Okay, we're in pretty good shape here. So let's go ahead and keep the titration going. And we're just about to 40. So we're going to slow this down to drip by drip. Maybe one more drop. Afraid a drop is gonna be too much, but we'll see. And that's staying a very, very light color pink. So let's go ahead and go with that. All right, it's very light. It's like perfect. That's where we want to be. So we're at 40 point. That's about 40.70. Okay, so our ending point for our third trial for the NaOH is 40.70. For our vinegar, it's 36.00. So we have 2.00 for every single one of these. And then for each one of these, it's very light pink. The molarity of the NaOH was 0.100 molar. And 0.100 molar. Okay, so now I want to show you. I'm going to show you the data table here that I made, and you're going to have to subtract your volumes of NaOH. Okay, so you can do that. So this is what I have. You can type this up. Right, and you're going to have to subtract your volumes to get your used NaOH. Okay. All right, so that's our titration lab. All right, you have a bunch of calculations to do, so eventually you're going to be able to tell me all about this white vinegar. All right, so yeah, I guess that's it. All right, we'll see you soon. Have a good afternoon.